Welcome to another episode of Draw This. In this episode, we're going to be drawing a monarch butterfly. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using Corel Painter 2016 today, and I'm starting with a canvas that is 11 by 14 inches at 300 dpi, and I've just gone ahead and toned it this kind of pale green olive color. I'm going to turn on symmetry painting, or mirror painting mode, make sure that it's on with the on button, and then make sure not to accidentally move your guide left or right because you'll throw off your symmetry. I'm going to switch to my brush tool. I'm going to select the detail oils, and then I'm going to select a light gray color. I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer for my sketch. Just ignore these other layers for now. These are layers that I created ahead of time. And on that sketch layer, let's start sketching out our butterfly. And then next what we'll want to do is we'll want to start creating some layers beneath the sketch. We want to have one layer for each overlapping object, so the head, the body, the upper wing, the lower wing, the wing colors, the antennae, and so on. So let's go ahead and start filling in some layers. I'm going to go to the wings upper layer, and I'm going to select a nice orangey color like this. This doesn't have to be my final color because I can change it later. Then I'm going to select the scratchboard tool. This is just a default brush that comes with Corel Painter. And I'm going to carefully paint in right along the edge with nice smooth strokes. Because if I make a nice closed shape, I can switch to my paint bucket and I can just fill in the center really quickly. Now we want to draw the patterns in the middle of the wings, so to do that, we're going to right-click on the wings upper layer, choose Select Layer Content. That puts a selection around those edges, that way we can't paint outside of that selection. I'm going to hide that selection while still keeping it active by clicking on Show Hide Selection. I'm going to go to the wings dark upper layer, I'm going to select black, and I'm going to select the scratch board, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in. So I've gone ahead and switched to the example that I was working on earlier. I spent a little bit more time on this one so I didn't have to be so rushed to make sure that I got the shape the way that I wanted it to be. And so it's the same layers and everything else. I've gone ahead and chosen some colors. I chose kind of a dark bluish gray for most of my black colors. I chose a really dark, almost black for the eyes. The spots are white, and the orange is a nice bright orange color like this. I also erased a little bit of the body lines that I added just to make them a little more faint. What I did to change the color is I selected a layer, let's say the wings upper layer, and I turned on Preserve Transparency. So when it's blue, it's on, when it's black, it's off. While Preserve Transparency is on, you won't be able to paint outside of the shape that you've already created. So for instance, this orange area of this wing, if I wanted to either paint on that using a different color or just fill it with a different color, I could go to Fill. And there I've changed the color. If Preserve Transparency is not on, then you'll be able to add paint. And if I go to Fill, it just fills everything. That's not what we want. So make sure Preserve Transparency is on, choose the colors that you like, and then once you've done that, we can start shading this and making it look more three-dimensional. So the wings are pretty flat, but the head is kind of spherical and the body's kind of cylindrical. So we'll want to shade those appropriately. I'm going to zoom into those. I'm going to make sure that my mirror painting symmetry is on. I'm going to select the head layer. I'm going to use the airbrush, and I'm going to hold Alt and sample the color that I chose here. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. I'll turn on Preserve Transparency so I don't paint outside of my head shape. I'll just lighten the top edge and the bottom edge a bit. Make my color a little bit brighter. And that makes the head kind of stand out. I'm going to go to the eyes layer. Let's continue adding detail to our piece. I'm going to go ahead and correct a few things because after spending a little bit of time looking at my reference photo, I started to see that some things weren't quite right. So I'm going to go ahead and fix those, and this will show you the power of working with layers. It may seem kind of silly to create all these layers and groups and all this stuff, but now if I want to fix something, it's very easy because I can just fix that one layer. For example, the antennae, I think I want to make those a little bit longer. So I'm just going to do a free transform and then drag them up. I'm going to make sure that mirror painting is turned on. And then I'm going to use my eraser to erase these a little bit near the ends. And now we can start kind of merging some layers together so that they're easier to work with. So let's do a save as to save a copy of our artwork. I'm going to save this as butterfly 2. I'm going to select the wings up group, and I'm going to hit Control E to merge it. You could also do that from down here in collapse layers in the layers menu. I'm also going to merge the wings low. Let's go to the wings up layer and let's do a little bit of blending here. I'm going to select the coarse oily blender, and I'm just going to blend the edges on some of these shapes. This will make it look a little more natural. You want to follow the direction or the grain of the wing, which is kind of flowing like this. So you want your smudges to be kind of going in that direction more or less. Just tap with this brush. And these monarch butterflies have a little bit of fuzziness towards the bottom edge of their thorax, so I'm going to add that in. And now we can go ahead and merge the body layers together, but before we do that, let's just save a copy. And with that body group selected, I'm going to hit Control E to merge those layers. I'm going to right click on the body layer and choose Select Layer Content. Hide the selection with Control Shift H. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call it Body SH. SH is short for shadow, so that'll be some shading on the body. I'm going to select a darker color, and I'm going to change the composite method to multiply. And I'm just going to darken the head a little bit using the airbrush. Let's go ahead and do a save as and save another copy of our work. Let's go to the wings low layer. Let's right click on it and let's choose duplicate layer. Let's move that duplicate down below the body. Then we'll use the layer adjuster to move it up and to the left a little bit. We're creating a little bit of extra wing here. Let's go ahead and select the lasso selection tool. Let's make a selection around that area. Let's go to select, invert selection, and then we'll just hit delete, or we'll go to edit, clear, to clear everything outside that selection. So basically what we've done here is we've just added a little bit of wing here because there's some wings on the underside as well. I'm going to hit Control T to free transform, and I'm going to kind of squish it down a little bit so that we can see some of that orange there. And I'm going to switch to the Distorto brush, and I'm just going to distort the edge so it's not exactly the same as the edge that we copied it from. I'm going to rename this Wing BG for Wing Background. I'm going to go ahead and play with the edges of these wings a little bit, but I want to go ahead and turn off symmetry. So I'm going to go to the mirror painting tool and turn it off. Now I think the head is looking a little too round, so I'm going to go ahead and select the body shadow on the body and merge those with Control E. And then on that merged body layer, I'm going to make a selection of just the head and the antennae. And I'm going to hit Control T. I'm going to squish that down a little bit so the head is flatter. I'm going to hit Control D to deselect. Let's go ahead and save as again, save another copy. And this time let's go ahead and merge all of our layers except for the background. And let's select the coarse oily blender. Let's blend this transition here where the wing connects to the body. And we'll zoom out and see how we're looking. It's too easy to look at this really close and see too much detail because in real life butterflies are pretty small, so you don't need to look at it too big. As long as it looks good small, you're on the right track. I'm going to go ahead and merge these two butterfly layers together. Might transform it a bit, make it a bit taller, scale it down just a bit. And we have a finished butterfly. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Draw This. If you did, take a quick second to like this video. And if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe to get access to all of my free digital art tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.